Let's bring in CTV's Jeremy Sharon, who is live in Ottawa for us this morning. Jeremy, hearing from the Prime Minister yesterday, certainly not leaving, it sounds like, the United Arab Emirates empty-handed as he goes on to the G20. But what do we know about, again, some of that investment?
Yeah, Matt, this is significant. You know, these are significant investments. You touched on $70 billion. We don't know, many details about what those investments will be, other than they're expected to be in sectors like the energy sector, AI sector, mining, some other strategic industries. But that is a massive investment from a very rich nation in Canada, and a promise from the Prime Minister to work towards further economic partnerships and an eventual trade deal with the UAE. You heard there from the Prime Minister a commitment to do so within the next year. The two sides already this week signing a trade pact, or rather an economic investment protection pact that already will align the two countries and allow both to work together, but also promising within a year to sign a full comprehensive trade deal. So that is absolutely significant at a time when this country is looking to diversify its trade partners. Canada is doing just that with the UAE, and so we'll continue to watch for what develops from this. The other thing is, another significant announcement that was made was that critical minerals deal. We don't know much about it, but we know that the UAE is going to be helping with a deal worth about $1 billion in furthering the development and the capacity to develop critical minerals here in Canada. So certainly some significant announcements here, and a promise to work towards something even more concrete within the next year in a full-on trade deal with the UAE.
Yeah, we talk about that expansion too. The Prime Minister has been very focused on this global effort in order to bring some more of those trading partners in amidst what's happening with the United States. However, there is some growing criticism over the allegations too that the UAE has supported a militia in the civil war in Sudan, and some of the human rights issues that are clearly coming up dealing with this country. Did the Prime Minister address that at all, at least at this point, or is that something that still is going to be addressed at some point down the line?
Yeah, we don't know details, Matt, about what was discussed, but what the Prime Minister did confirm is that he did bring up Sudan, that it was part of the discussion with the President of the United Arab Emirates. He did not clarify whether he believes the UAE government, which denies the allegations, or if he believes the human rights groups that allege, as you've touched on, that they are helping support a militia group in Sudan. So we don't know exactly what was discussed, but we do know, and the Prime Minister confirmed, that it was raised during discussions with the President. This is part of a growing challenge that the government will have to face, and a balancing act that the government will have to face as it looks to bolster its trading partners and diversify its trading partners. It is facing the challenge of perhaps doing business with nations like this that sometimes, have allegations against them that are not in line with, Canadian values, if you will. This is similar to the situation that Canada is in with India, where it is choosing to focus on economic partnership, and looking at areas where the countries do align, where they can try and still do business, while playing a bit of a difficult balancing act when it comes to certain human rights concerns that exist within some of these countries. So this is certainly part of a challenge that Canada is facing, but is also forced at a time like we are in right now, in a trade war with the U.S., to find new partners. And you have to play with the biggest partners. That is the argument that the Canadian government is making, right?
CTV's Jeremy Sharon live at our Ottawa Bureau for us this morning. Thanks, Jeremy, for this.